Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another series of mental health episode. I'm back with Kamna. So Kamna is a mental health advocate, writer, and author, and head of mental health department at Fortis Hospital. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. I'm just grateful that you joined us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lakshit. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So coming back to the question round, if you can speak about yourself and what you do, that would be great to hear about yourself.
So, like you were saying, I head the Department of Mental Health and Behavioral Sciences. But the first part of my identity also is that I'm a clinical psychologist. So, I am a trained therapist. I've done my master's and then my M.Phil in clinical psychology.
Okay.
And I've been practicing within the field for over a decade now. I work a lot with children, adolescents, with adults, and do a lot of clinical work with them. My special areas of interest lie within the spaces of relationships, trauma, abuse, and I've also been working extensively through the department and through a lot of the work that we do with schools, with colleges, corporate organizations, with
Okay.
NGOs. We do a lot of trainings for different people. We run a 24-hour helpline. We also write a lot of books which pertain to mental health related subjects.
Okay.
And some of them are available for free as well. A couple of them which we've written recently which relate to the entire pandemic as well. And most of them are available on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little bit about myself and what I do.
Okay, wonderful. So coming back to mental health, if you can speak about what is mental health according to you first.
So I think mental health is something which has been largely unrecognized. It's been something which has been relegated to the background for many, many years, and it's something that is gaining a lot more prominence now in recent times, thanks to a lot of efforts which are being made by mental health practitioners, by media agencies, by youngsters who are willing to come up and say that, okay, there is mental health, there is something which can impact my mental health, which affects who I am, and it can hamper my productivity or my relationships or my social functioning. And when we are looking at mental health, it involves an understanding of an individual's psychological functioning, their emotional functioning, their social functioning, their behavioral aspects of their functioning, and how well a person is being able to function in the different domains of their lives. And it relates to how effectively one is able to make decisions, solve problems, cope with stressors, how one is able to adapt to different changes, like the one we are in right now. So how you're adapting to the different scenarios which you're facing. So mental health tends to intervene in all of these diverse aspects.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much for giving us so wonderful insight regards to mental health. Coming to the important point of today, how as youngsters, how as adolescents we can go through and handle our anxiety and stress.
I think there are a few things which are really, really helpful. It's important to first start acknowledging the fact that people often do end up feeling anxious, and feeling anxious in itself is not a mental health related illness. Anxiety is a common emotional experience for all of us, just the way we can experience fear, happiness, sadness. It's only when any kind of an emotion lingers on far beyond what a situation warrants and it starts impeding your functionality that it becomes a matter of concern.
Okay.
For young children, for adolescents, for students, a lot of times mental health related issues in the form of anxiety can emerge in relation to, say, exams, their academics, feeling a lot of pressure from home to perform well, to do well. It could also relate to a lot of friendships. There are more instances, or at least reported instances, of bullying, of trolling. Social media has become a very integral part of our lives. And so a lot of these things can lead to a lot of anxiety and cause people to think a lot, worry a lot. And some of the things which you must do when you're looking at combating this generic anxiety that you may feel is, one, you need to understand that it is normal to feel anxious. But when your functionality is getting impacted, you need to start considering that this is a problem and you need to think of connecting to someone to seek help. It's very important that when you are going through these different emotional experiences, you find your safe spaces around you, in the people who surround you. It could be your friends, it could be family members, it could be professionals. It could be through helplines where you can reach out and express what it is that you're going through,
Okay.
so that you can gain the right kind of support for your experiences. I think it's also very important to try and get an understanding of what is it that is making me feel anxious. A
Mhm.
lot of times we get stuck with the feeling
Okay.
or with a thought, and we were not able to necessarily process what it is that is making us feel or think in the way that we are. And it
Okay.
really helps to try and identify, okay, if I'm feeling a certain way or I'm thinking a certain way, what was the situation that was leading to it? Do I see patterns in it? And if there is a real situation in front of me, then what is it that I can do to effectively problem solve? If I can't come up with solutions, who can I talk to? Who can help me find a solution? That
Okay.
is very important. For situations where for experiences in thoughts and feelings where you're feeling anxious, but you
Okay.
can't really identify the source of the problem, it becomes very essential that you consider that, okay, I need to start talking to myself and explaining to my mind that what I'm feeling is just a feeling, it's just a thought which does not have a real basis. So I need to keep continuing to do what I need to do, not stop my routines, not avoid being in certain spaces, and ensure that I keep on following through with that, because then my mind will start understanding that everything is okay, nothing bad is going to happen, and that this anxiety is not really going to be harmful for me. And the last aspect which I would suggest would be, try to identify if there are any patterns in your thought processes which may be making you feel this anxious. So, are you blowing up problems? Do you have a tunnel vision wherein you get stuck to certain very specific mechanisms of understanding or associating with the problem? Try to understand those errors that may be there in your thought process, so that you can start changing those patterns, and also being able to develop a mastery over your anxiousness or the thoughts that may come and disturb you.
Okay, wonderful. So coming quick to the last question I have. So what is anxiety and stress? What is meaning of that? We got the solution, but what is it? The first to understand.
Hmm. So, for us, when we look at stress, stress would be something that is a part of our daily lives. If you would not experience stress, you would also not be able to be productive, because it also acts as a motivator. It pushes us to do more. And there is the good kind of stress, which is called the stress, which enhances productivity. It makes us be creative. It makes us look for unique ways of resolving situations or finding new solutions. And it could also lead to distress, which is the negative or the bad stress, which is what creates more problems for us, and it interferes with how we are functioning. So it's not important for us to work towards not having stress in our lives. What is very important is to develop the right kind of skills, something that we were talking about previously, to be able to cope better with stressful situations.
Yeah.
And that would allow us to maintain our mental health. Sometimes, when stress becomes very excessive, or when it's been lasting in our lives for too long, it
Mhm.
keeps on compromising our ability to cope. And
Okay.
that could lead to mental health related issues. And one of the types of mental health issues is our anxiety disorders. Right? And typically, anxiety disorders are characterized by either a lot of excessive thinking and worrying, or they may involve physical symptoms like a lot of palpitations, so your heart rate is rising, you may
Yeah.
feel sweaty, clammy palms, you may have headaches, stomach aches, feeling very restless, a lot of
Yeah.
ghabrahat, nausea, choking sensations. So they can have these kind of effects, and what it leads to a lot of times for people is that anxiety can make people want to avoid situations. So, for instance, if I feel anxious in a social situation, in a group
Yeah.
setting, I may be tempted to avoid and not be a part of those groups. I would try and find ways to be able to eliminate my participation in activities which would involve group interactions, and that only serves to further enhance my anxiety,
Mhm.
because I'm not developing that skill to be able to deal with that situation.
Okay.
Instead, I'm giving my mind the signal to say that if I avoid it, I will be fine.
Mhm.
But what I'm not realizing is that my anxiety around that situation is only increasing.
Increasing.
So,
Okay.
and anxiety disorders can be of various types. Of course, we can keep on talking about them. But
Yeah.
essentially, if you look at types, there could be generalized anxiety, it could have phobias, there could be panic-like anxiety, selective mutism. There are various categories which exist. But broadly, in a nutshell, that's what anxiety and stress would be all about.
Okay, so yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much for giving us insight about stress, anxiety. helping us to know about mental health. Thank you very much for that, and I appreciate you being here, speaking about mental health. Thank you very much again for being here.
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure being here, Lakshit.